So, Sherry, today is a really tough day, 2 years ago. What do you want people to know about your son?
I don't want him to be forgotten. I want him to know that he was just about the kindest, nicest man that I've ever met. I'd like some answers as to what happened, because he didn't have an enemy in the world. A lot of little things added up to him being on the bike path when he was. Same route he took home from work every day, walking. He loved music. He played in the high school chamber orchestra, the advanced jazz ensemble, the Youth Valley Symphony, and he played a lot with his friends, his musicians' friends. He played the stand-up bass and electric guitar. I know the police have said that they've talked to thousands of witnesses, and I was told that it was the first time in police history, or possibly FBI history, that they couldn't find a single person to say anything negative about him. He was gentle. He didn't play sports. Music was his passion. He never outgrew his love for his mom. He was almost 6'4", and we would walk down the street together, and he would drape his arm around my shoulder. But he would, anything you asked from him, he would do for you. He had a great sense of humor. Right from the start, right from the time he was a child. And I would do anything to be able to just touch him again. People say, well, he's not really gone, he's with you, his spirit is with you, he's all around you, but I have a very hard time with that, because I can't reach out and touch him. I guess I would stress his sense of humor and his kindness. I've had people say that when they went into shopping cart, they would ask for him because he was always so able to help. At a very young age, he learned to hold doors for people and help a little old lady put her dog food in her trunk. I guess I just can't emphasize his kindness. He had nothing bad to say about anybody.
What do you miss most about him? I mean, you mentioned him draping his arm over your shoulder.
That's a very happy thought. I would call him sometimes, and I could tell he was in a room full of his friends, and I would always say, "I love you, David," and he'd kind of whisper back into the phone, "I love you too, Ma." I just miss his presence. I miss knowing that he's not in this world. I miss his kindness, and he's my baby boy, and I couldn't have asked for a better son, brother, friend. So I guess selfishly, I miss the fact that he really, really loved me. He was an easy teenager. He tended to party a bit, as most Ashland kids do, but he never got into any trouble. Can't remember having a single fight with him about anything. He was just so easygoing, and I miss everything about him. I miss driving him to school in the morning, and he wasn't a morning person, and our joke was that I would try and make him say a complete sentence before we got to school, because I would say something to him and he'd say, and just when I would think that I was going to lose the game and he wouldn't give me a sentence, we'd pull up to the high school and he'd open the door and he'd say, "I love you, Mom." We spent years hauling his upright bass around. He played in the symphony. It was a huge instrument. I have really joyful memories of watching him play in the youth symphony. I was so proud of him. He was tall and thin, and by the time he was about 8, he had long, long arms and legs. And I would pick him up from somewhere, and he would just leap into my arms and wrap these big monkey arms and legs around me and just hold me so close. For the millennium, we went to London, and we were down in the subway, and he'd been saving for several months for the trip. And there was a homeless family in the underground, and he walked up to them and gave them all his money. And I said, "David, why did you do that? You've been saving this money for so long, and now you don't have any." And he said, "Well, they needed it." And he was 12 at the time. So many little things like that, acts of kindness, acts of humor, his protectiveness towards me and his sisters.
What has it been like these last 2 years? I mean, so many unanswered questions.
Well, the first year was, I was basically non-functional. I moved to Brookings for a while, thinking that walks along the ocean would help me find some peace. But I ended up just in bed for 6 months, and the only reason I had to get out of bed was to walk my dog. I couldn't, my dog kept me going. The first year, it's been said, is actually easier than the second year, because the first year you don't believe that it's really happened. You think it's a nightmare. You think you're going to wake up. It's just so unbelievable that you kind of pretend like, this is going to be over. This didn't really happen. And so the second year has been, I think, harder, because now the reality is sunk in. He's really gone. He was really murdered brutally, randomly, and he's not coming back. I'm able to function a little more now. I took a part-time job. I wasn't able to work for quite a while. But the first thought I have when I open my eyes in the morning is, David is dead. He's gone. And I would love to find the person that did this. because I want justice. I don't want this person to do this to somebody else. But that being said, it's not going to change anything. It's not. After it happened, I dreamed of finding this person and looking him, I assume it's a him, in the eyes and saying, why? Why did you do this, and why David? But I realize now that there's nothing this person could say that would really change anything. There was no reason for it. It was just someone that wanted to kill someone. So, as much as I want justice done, it's really, people talk about closure. It'll never be closed. As long as David is gone, it will never be closed. This person should be behind bars. I dread the thought of a trial. I've made it very clear that I don't want the death penalty for this person because that would go against everything David stood for. David would not want someone killed in his name. So I want this person to get caught and sit in a prison cell for the rest of his life, die in prison, and then face whatever comes afterwards. So it's not I want him caught, but it doesn't consume me like it has other members of my family. And that's about it. I mean, I could say
So many more things.
so many more things. One last thing was that I loved about him was that he had very eclectic music tastes. He loved Red Hot Chili Peppers, but I also loved Johnny Cash, Led Zeppelin, the band. Garrison can tell you more, but it wasn't just rock and roll, it was all types of music. And I guess that's about it. I mean, I could go on, but
Of course, you're his mom and you love him.
I love him. I love him so much. And I can't believe he's gone. I wish the year would end October 31st and start up again maybe January 10th. So we wouldn't have to deal with his murder, his birthday the same week, Thanksgiving, and then Christmas. Because I'm not quite sure how to go about surviving these next couple months. I have a lot of support, a lot of good friends, but when it comes right down to it, a mother deals with this alone.
Okay, Sherry, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.